but also I want to, say that joy is an act of resistance as well, So, gotta get the laughs and the joy in here and there.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Well, welcome to episode 133. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a powerful and amazing panel discussion for you. Plus, it's a Monday episode.
Yeah, this is a little bit different than anything we've done before, but we are super, super excited about it. And we reached out to Ruby Johnson a few weeks ago, who is one of the co-creators of Dallas Millennium, along with Charita, who is one of the other panelists on the discussion. But to help us put together a really great resource for the Black and polyamorous non-monogamy community. And she definitely didn't disappoint in any way, shape, or form. She put together 3 amazing people plus herself for a incredible conversation.
Yeah, the title of today's talk is The State of the Union of Black Polyamorous Relationships in the Pandemic and Uprising. And we have Ruby Johnson, like Finn said, as well as Jhen, Charita, and Dr. Justin Clardy are the other panelists.
Yeah, and one of the things we wanted to let everybody know out of the gate here is that this is not a Race 101 podcast. This is a discussion that, as Ruby will talk about, is really targeted at the Black community, but is super powerful and valuable to just about anybody who listens to it. And it's covering a lot of difficult things that we're all going through, but particularly how they pertain to the Black and polyamorous communities. At the same time, they cover these difficult conversations, but they keep it really, really lighthearted, and
you can tell that they're all friends, and that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, just thank you to all of the panelists for coming on and sharing their stories and experiences over the last few months.
Yeah, a really quick programming note too. You'll see that the panelists mention a bunch of resources and contact information throughout this episode. You do not need to scramble and write it down unless you want to. It will all be in the show notes available on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
Yeah, and we're not skipping over their intros. They introduce themselves, and that's sort of what Emma was referring to there. One final programming note. Anybody who's listened to our show knows that we don't like inside jokes. And so all of the references to Justin's dad joke competition,
we circle back
and we hook you up with all of the runner-up dad jokes at the end. So
stay tuned.
Sorry to rub a little salt in the wound, Justin, but yeah. Everybody, we hope you enjoy this. And again, thank you to all of the panelists for sharing your stories.
Now let's go listen.
Welcome, everybody. We're super excited to have all of you here.
Our first panel discussion.
Our first panel discussion, not without any technical difficulties yet. So we're on the road to success here. So we're excited. We've got Ruby, Charita, Dr. Justin Clardy, and Jhen, in no particular order of importance. Jhen, don't worry. We know you weren't offended.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm good. Thanks, though.
But maybe if you don't mind going around and introducing yourselves, and then we'll hand it off to Ruby to moderate, and we will pretty much be quiet and listen.
Well, hey, I'm Charita Marie. I'm located here in Dallas, Texas. Have known Ruby for quite some time. I'm really excited to be here, so thank you all for having me. A little bit about myself. I am the co-organizer for Dallas Millennium. Super, super excited about that, so make sure you are on the lookout for all that information. I am also the Dallas organizer for Black and Poly, so I host the quarterly events here. In addition, I sit on the Bi Plus panel for Out and Equal in that conference. So I've been polyamorous for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, but I've been a free spirit my entire life, so non-monogamous my whole adult life. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, I can't top that, but it's okay. I'll give it a whirl. Hi, I'm Jhen. I am one half of the Monogamous Pod, which is a podcast about non-monogamy and polyamory, run by two Black Jamaican people. And yeah, I'm one of them. I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. Just moved to the U.S. like 10 years ago. I have, I guess, been doing non-monogamous things my whole life. Now that I think about it, sharing a boyfriend with my best friend when we were like 6. Being a couple of triads in my late teen years. I did that. But I've officially been using polyamorous as a descriptor for about between 6 and 8 years. Who cares about time? That's a thing. I don't sit on any boards. I don't plan events. That's okay though, Charita. You're doing that for me, and I appreciate you. Cheers.
Teamwork.
I guess then the pendulum swings to me. I am Dr. Justin Clardy. I'm a PhD in philosophy, specializing in normative questions that arise in the context of political theories as well as interpersonal relationships. So within that context, I have special interest in questions about tenderness, love, and the ethics of monogamous or non-monogamous relationships. I've also appeared on several different podcasts talking about non-monogamous things, as well as you guys might have seen me on the Tamron Hall show.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been poly about 7 years now, but like Jen said, right, what is time? And anything else you guys might want to know about me, you will have to follow my socials, which we will probably mention later in the cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Ruby Bowie Johnson. I am a sex therapist and educator here in Dallas, Texas. I am the founder and part organizer for Poly Dallas Millennium, which is a conference that is held annually. We're on our 5th anniversary is in 2020. And like Charita said, more will be revealed around that. I'm a researcher, educator, writer. I have been polyamorous, well, I have identified as polyamorous since about 2010, 2011. So I am thoroughly excited to be here. Nice to be with all you folks. And everyone looks beautiful. You can't see us, but we look absolutely beautiful. All these fine shades of melanin. Yes.
So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, and some of us lacking melanin, much of it.
That's okay. We
have
will
enough.
accept you. You are our token non-melanated people.
Perfect. We are happy.
We're okay with that.
Happy to be here. Well, as we said, Ruby, we will let you rule the roost, and we will sit and listen, and we're excited for it. So thank you again to everybody, and we will maybe speak on the other side.
Thank you so much, Emma and Finn. So I'm excited to be here and using this platform to have a conversation about state of the union of Black polyamorous relationships in the pandemic and uprising that is going on currently within our society. So I'm going to go around to all of the panelists. We have various questions that we're going to pose to them, and they're going to answer. Also, we'll piggyback off of each other. This is going to be pretty organic. It's going to be a nice family conversation, and hopefully, the audience will get something out of it. I do want to let you know this is not a Race 101 podcast. Nah, we won't be doing that. And so we're going to be speaking to our Black community specifically, but all communities, I believe, will get something out of this. So we have Charita, Justin, Jhen, and me. So we're going to start with Charita. I think that's a good place to start. And so, Charita, I know we had a conversation over the weekend about what direction we wanted to go, and do we want to focus on simply education? And so we had a thought, like maybe not, but you had something different to offer, and you basically used the phrase, a cloud of noise. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we as a community sometimes will say, I don't have the spoons for that. People need to educate themselves. I'm not here to educate. And whereas I don't necessarily disagree with that, my thought on that is Google is not always your friend. The information that out there is the message that is out there is not the one we want to be heard all the time. And so I do think that the friends we have, the acquaintances that we have, if they come to us with a question, it's not really harmful for us to give them some education. It's not harmful to maybe point them to the correct resources. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of filth that I actually don't want people to hear. I don't want them to see. I specifically had friends who would say to me, I don't see color. And they really thought that was the way to be. And I'm like, no, you need to see color because you need to recognize what's going on, right? You need to not only say, well, I'm not racist, but you need to be anti-racist. It's totally different than to say I'm not something versus to say I'm completely against something else, and I'm going to use my platform, use my voice to speak out against that and try to cause some change there. So whereas I do agree that our job is not necessarily to have race 101, I do have friends of all backgrounds and ethnicities, and I'm actually very pleased that they feel comfortable coming to me and saying, hey, I came across this article. What are your thoughts? Is this what I should be doing? How do you feel about that? And I can have those candid conversations with them and say, no, don't listen to that particular person because she's crazy. I don't know what she's talking about. But hey, come over here and read this article, or let me tell you how this affects me and my children, or let me tell you how this could potentially affect you and our relationship. So I'm not actually against education, especially when it comes from a pure place where someone really does want to learn because they want to do better. They want to teach their children better.
All right. Thank you. And, and that the conversation around, anti-racism and, the counter to anti-Black, right? And so I know that we are in this current uprising, and we talked about, is it trendy for Black Lives Matter right now? And so, Justin, I know that you had something really strong to say about uprising, and what does that mean?
So for me, I think that political rhetoric, or just, public rhetoric in general, is important. How we talk about things ultimately shapes how we think about things. How we think about things kind of shapes how we might act in response to whatever we think is the case. And so in particular, we've been seeing all throughout the country a massive and the world. We've been seeing a massive response to anti-Black racism in America, responding to the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota. And sometimes the language used around it is that, people are rioting in the streets, and, or the people will email me, what do you think about the riots? And, are the riots, counterproductive to the movements, and riot. But, I'm always quick to suggest that we begin to think about these things in terms of being uprisings and not riots. I think that to characterize these uprisings as riots kind of is counterproductive to the movement. Now, to be specific, right, uprisings are intentional acts of political resistance, right, or rebellion, whereas riots are these violent disturbances of the peace by a crowd, right? And I think that what we're seeing is what we're seeing is an intentional response to ongoing systematic injustice directed at people who inhabit Black bodies, men, women, and trans folks. And so, I think it's important, words mean things, and they shape how we might act in response to these things. And so, that's kind of what I was on about a little bit, right? That we're careful to not call these uprisings, these very intentional political acts, riots. So.
All right. And, I know, Jhen, we discussed also that it's the perfect storm, the pandemic and all that happened with these murders, many murders that have happened in this country over the last weeks. It's the perfect storm for what we have going on right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The pandemic has made it so easy, I think, for people to see what was right in front of them all this time. And it's funny because there's this skit on Comedy Central. It's relevant, I swear, where this guy was talking and he says that, I think he used the word riots, but we're going to use uprising, of course. He's like, this is not plan A or B. This is plan C. Plan A is we've told people we're being murdered. Hi, we need this to be fixed. No one listened. No one paid attention. Plan B is, okay, well, we have evidence. Like, we didn't just tell you we're being murdered. Here's the videos. Here are the photos. Here's everything. It's crazy, right? Nothing's being done. He's like, well, now we're at Plan C. Now we're at planning rebellions. And if we look at it from like a historical standpoint, of course, when the enslaved they weren't rioting for freedom. They were having rebellions and intentional uprisings to disrupt that system. And the pandemic as it is right now, where everyone's at home, we're all more, I think, hyper aware of death than we've ever been. Because even if you are not affected by COVID personally, you are seeing it in people that you may know. You're seeing it on TV. You're seeing the numbers from all over the world. And now that we're all unemployed, not all of us, but we're all unemployed. We're all out here sitting at home. We're working from home, and being visually confronted with this kind of traumatic content over and over again has now allowed us to kind of be like, okay, wait, we cannot sit at home and let this happen now that we have a chance to go out there and do something. So I feel as if, perfect storm, pandemic, everyone at home, death is in front of us 24/7. And this last murder of George Floyd, I think, was really propelled the movement forward at this time. But I mean, since George Floyd's murder, there have been so many others. Right. And I also want to make sure that we're not losing sight of the fact that they're not just Black men being murdered. There are trans people being murdered. There are women who are being slaughtered. And I think that we need to be intentional also about how we use this time and talk about these topics.
Absolutely. And so thank you, Jhen. I think you made some awesome points about this being a perfect storm and the level of trauma that we are experiencing. There's this great book by this author Resmaa Menakem, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, where he actually talks about how that fight, flight, or flee can happen when it comes to racialized trauma, trauma period. And as a Black community, we've had a huge impact on our bodies, ourselves, and it's very visceral in how we respond. And I'm wondering, there's a couple of parents here on the panel. And so how are y'all coping and dealing with raising your kids, in this time? How do you talk to them about what's happening? Charita, you want to go first?
Did somebody tell y'all I had children?
Yes, you have a few.
So I do. In my situation, my situation's a little different because I have biological, adopted, and foster kids. And while the majority of my kids are Black, I have a white son and a Hispanic son as well. And they all get the same conversation. So we have conversations about COVID and why personal hygiene is a big deal. And whereas other people who have children have maybe raised their children and started their children when they were toddlers, washing their hands and having proper hygiene. My kids are teenagers. The majority of them came to me as teenagers. And so they came to me not having some of those basic skills and knowledge. So hygiene is always a big thing. And so that's something we always are having to work on, to be quite honest with you, because I've had teenagers who were used to not being able to take a shower for months. And so getting them to take one like every day or every other day is already like a task. And so now we have a COVID happening and it's like, okay, we really have to wash our hands. We really have to take these showers. We have to wash our clothes. We can't shake everyone's hand. Just trying to keep them on task there it's an ordeal. It's not, an easy task, to be honest. And then when you add on top of that, okay, now we need to have additional racial conversations. And I have to be very cautious that I don't make general statements of all white people this and all white people that, because I have a white son. And so if I make any negative statements, I'm actually talking about him. And so I have to be careful about that and talk about what we have to expect. And then quite surprisingly, my son, who is Caucasian, has dealt with some issues as well because he's always around my other children and all his friends are Black. And so he's had some comments from police officers and people at school towards him that I've had to address with him as well. And so now, we have COVID, so I'm trying to deal with hygiene issues. And now I have the murder of my Black brothers and sisters And I'm having those conversations. And I know we talked earlier about it being trendy. But my son asked me, he said, why is it a big deal now? He said, it's been happening. Why do people care now? And I said, frankly, because they're bored. They have nothing else to do. I said, but, we'll take it. We'll ride with it. So we're constantly having to have those conversations. And plus, I have teenage boys who want to get out. I've got athletes. They have girlfriends. And so it's trying to, make them understand social distancing, trying to homeschool. It is difficult because I am still working from home. I still manage 30 some odd people and I have my own projects going on. So it has not been easy. Not even mentioning my partners. Like it's a lot happening. But we will survive it. Absolutely.
Right. Justin?
Yeah. For me, yeah. I mean, first, let me just recognize and receive Charita there. Like, I mean, I send you more endurance, more love, and more life. So
Thank you.
for me, it's been a little bit less of the like having to worry about the hygienic stuff. My son has kind of always been pretty tidy. And so for me, there's always like this race stuff. But before I get to that, I mean, aside from the hygienic stuff, the biggest toll it's taken on my son is the socialization aspect, like not being in school, not being able to see his friends, and just sort of like the physical activity that he might get at school, doing things like recess, trying to find substitutes for that same kind of activity. So he's, still hopefully worn out by the end of the night, or, that he's still sort of being able to burn as many calories or whatever, however many calories he's burning, but just be as active as he can be and doesn't develop sedentary habits. Right. And so that's been really big. To that end, he's been jumping rope, and we've tried to keep his mind active by building Legos. And the like. So we've been doing like a lot of different things around the house, but the socialization aspect has been tough, especially, as we try to facilitate conversations with him and his friends via Zoom. Many of them have siblings, and he's an only child. So, he's really kind of taken a social toll. But yeah, as it pertains to the race stuff, I'm always pretty vigilant and engaged as it pertains to racial discourse, anti-Black racism discourse in America. And, with my son, we've been having sort of like an ongoing conversation, in about, what is this? Let me see. He's 8 now. So maybe this was 5 years ago. We, shortly after the death of Sandra Bland, the murder of Sandra Bland, we took to the streets to march in Los Angeles. And he went to that with me, I think at the tender age of 3. Right. And so I was carrying him on my shoulders as we marched through the city, and it's really left an impression on him. Right. Like, so even in response to the things that we've been seeing now, he'll recall, remembering going to that particular march and all of the people that were there, and, asking questions like, is this related to that? And, why is this stuff still happening? And, so those conversations are always difficult. They're difficult to have, I think, because, of the extent to which I have to reflect on a couple of things, my own experience as a Black man, as well as, his experiences as a Black boy. But also, I mean, just the age difference. I'm talking to an 8-year-old about very nuanced systems and structures, and trying to find the language to meet him is sometimes difficult. But we do the best with it that we can, and by and large, he's in good spirits and in good health. So yeah, we've been trying to focus on that and limit screen time and stuff like that. But yeah. I don't know if that actually spoke to the question, but I'm hoping that it does.
Oh, it does speak to it.
Cool.
Anything you say, Justin, speaks to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of everyone on this panel, a huge fan. And we are talking about also being Black and polyamorous. Being Black and polyamorous is not just about romantic connections. It's also about being parents and being organizers and being professionals. Personally, I don't have kids, but as a professional, I have an opportunity to talk to other families about how you have these conversations during these times. And so I often speak to Jhen, about being being a polyamorous person and not necessarily having kids, but there are still those dynamics that impact. Jhen, you want to speak?
I mean, I guess I don't. I have two succulents. Those are my kids right now. I forget to water them all the time, so I'm a bad mother. Let's just put that out there. But what I will say is that, yeah, I mean, it's there is a lot that goes into this. I mean, I do have godchildren, and they're just. I mean, my godson is 10, and so it's kind of difficult having to try to help his parents navigate those conversations sometimes. It's like, because I mean, we're all Jamaican. We were born there. We don't experience racism and race relations the exact same way. So it's like coming here is still a culture shock even a decade later, if that makes sense. And having those conversations and trying to figure out, like, also like not having him watch the news is like really intense. Like I'm tired of watching Black people be murdered on the news. I'm sorry. I don't know why you think it's appropriate to show videos of people being murdered on TV, but here we are. That's a thing that's happening now. But yeah, as it relates to partnerships and relationships and also navigating with children, et cetera. I mean, I'm dating someone that has a kid, and that is also interesting. Also interesting trying to figure out boundaries and what kind of conversations you can and can't have in front of a toddler. And also even about things like this, like even about race stuff. By the way, kids are sponges. Just want to throw that out there. I accidentally dropped the F-bomb one day, and well, I heard it come back. Awkward. Awkward.
Can we say fuck? I don't know.
I think we can say fuck whenever we want, just not in front of the kids.
Right.
It's not in front of the kids. But yeah, no, I mean, there's just a lot that we have to navigate in this time. And as I said, being Black and poly means understanding that you will have to work hard at every relationship that you have. Friendship, romantic, family, whoever your family may be, whether it's found or, your blood relatives. And just really, it's hard. It's hard out here. I don't think I'm making sense. I'm just telling you, it's hard out here for a pimp. That's what's up.
It is. It's hard out there. It is. Pimping ain't easy. But
I got hoes in different area codes. Okay.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation. I ain't no hoe. I'm playing.
That's what you're saying now. That's not what you were saying last night.
Oh, okay. So, and you gotta laugh. Right? Speaking of, laugh and just the various things around self-care. And I think that's important, not only self-care with ourselves, but, self-care with partners and how that works. And Justin, on yesterday, it was yesterday when we had this conversation, you were speaking about how you are aligned, how you have been focusing on alignment during this time of social distancing, maybe not seeing partners as much, et cetera. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. And I think that the segue that you like touched on there, Ruby, was like perfect, right? From laughter into sort of self-care. But also I want to, say that joy is an act of resistance as well, So, gotta get the laughs and the joy in here and there. Self-care has been actually on 100 since, the pandemic has began. I've been able to like use this time as an opportunity to sort of like realign my life with, the version of the self that I'd like to become, right? And so toward that end, I've been able to run a lot more and, scheduling like dates and times to sort of be with family or see family and things like that has become a little easier because it's like nothing else. Well, very little in the world is moving right around me. Whereas, in normal times, right, everything else is moving around me. And that kind of contributes to this sense of kind of losing sight of, my own like sort of like personal like journey, disciplines, yada, yada, yada. But, since pandemic started, it has kind of really been cool. I have been able to sort of sustain my relationships with partners. We have designated days where we we talk, or we watch movies, or we'll, build Legos, or, I'm building Legos with everybody. So, if y'all want to build Legos with me, just holler at me, let me know. I posted something funny on my Instagram that said, everybody wants somebody that can build with till it's time to bring the Legos out on date night. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's real, but, I'm really big into the Legos. So, but yeah, so, for me, I am a person who feels like I care best for myself when I can both set and follow like a rigid like schedule, or, like I know that today is Tuesday and I know that I have to do, X, Y, and Z today, or, I know that today is Thursday and, I know I got to get a 4-mile run in the morning and that'll set my course of the day and stuff like that. So, it's been really good. It's been really good. I just had like a dad joke battle, which I lost, but, speaking to that joy as an act of resistance and self-care, I've been able to kind of like, tap into to that stuff. So yeah, self-care has been on 100. It's been a kind of slowing down that I guess I didn't know that I needed, until now. So yeah.
And you, Charita, how are you finding pleasure in your life in self-care?
So this
yes, indeed.
So this is an area I'm not great in. I will say I did start painting though. Like I'm really into the arts and stuff now. So I did start doing that.
Picasso. Yes.
Doing what I can do. And what's funny is I do the paintings and I post on my Instagram and Facebook, more so just to share with people. And then people message me like, oh, can I buy it? No, it's mine. But now I have like 50 paintings around my house and I have no idea like what to do with all these paintings. But outside of that, I mean, it was just more so spending time with my partners. I think, I am a scheduler. And so just kind of having maybe not set days, but having like set times. Like I know I'm going to see this person at least twice a week. I'm going to see this other person twice a week. We have one day, normally Friday, that we all came together just because I was their only local partner that was here. Spending more time with the kids. I don't know why I'm working so much, but I don't really think that's a self-care thing, but I can focus, right? So if I need to sit back with my daughter and watch a movie and she's watching the movie, but I'm actually working, I'm still spending time with her, right? So I'm still kind of feeling what she wants me to do, which is just sit there and watch TV with her. I definitely have not been aligning myself like Justin. In my mind, I wanted to lose some weight and eat better. And I just decided I'm still cute with the little 10 pounds I gained, and so I'm gonna be all right. But
yes,
a little cute, a little cute.
Yeah, I can see her, but she's fine as hell.
She is fine as hell.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Soaking it up.
Well,
gas her up, y'all. Gas her up.
I mean, y'all said it. I'm here for it. So I would say that in general in life, I'm not a self-care person. I always say I need to do it and I just never make the time. I'm more of a take care of everyone else. So I will say, I think focusing on the art and having to actually sit down and not host like a million things for the last couple months has allowed me to sleep a little better.
Okay.
Cool.
Can I follow up on that real quick on the
yes.
art? So I have also indulged in the art. I've been coloring, I've been painting, and Jhen made a remark at the outset of the cast today about my recording setup. So I've been rapping too, so
yes.
Be on the lookout for that fire. People be like, "Oh, you're a professor." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a rapper. So that's really how I identify. So yeah.
Love it.
Oh gosh, I was trying to think of something funny. It didn't come out right. So that is Jen's niche.
That is me. I am the funniest person in the room always, even when I'm not funny.
Right.
So, but by the way, Justin, your jokes were good. But yeah, two of hers were just better than yours. I voted for you for one of them, so I just want to let you know.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to you about that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just saying I liked your jokes, but there was just like two of hers. There were three jokes, just so you guys know, but two of hers were a bit funnier than yours, so you couldn't win.
I think that's debatable, but she did win. And I'm gonna just take my L. I felt like I just felt like my jokes was over people's head. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like they wasn't getting my jokes. Like, that's just me, So whatever. But thank you, Jen. I appreciate you, love.
I appreciate you. I mean, like I said, talk about joy. Yeah, black joy is an act of resistance.
Yes.
I try to find joy wherever I can because honestly, there's enough pain and trauma in the world. I gotta spice things up. I gotta make you laugh. Gotta get a little sexy sometimes too. So my idea of self-care is masturbating. It's great.
Yes.
I don't think
orgasms are the best.
Oh yeah, May was masturbation month. Like, don't get me started.
May was masturbation month. Trust me. I'm pretty sure that if it was possible for something to break or fall off, I probably would have by now. I've been in the house for months, y'all. Okay.
That reminds me of like some of those memes of like vibrators that just look so sad, and I'm just like, wait, what's the ethics of technology here, right? Like, like vibrator rights over here.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's been a time. It's been a time. But I have many toys. I don't only keep vibrators. Okay, I have an intense toy collection. Nothing crazy like what I'm sure all y'all got, but all right. I'm watching you, just I see your face. I'm watching you.
Let me stop. Okay, anyways.
Okay. Jhen, this is good because in times of crisis, right? Because we're in a crisis, people respond to crisis in different ways. Some people are external, some people are internal. So which would you say you are?
I mean, my job before this was as an international flight attendant. So what I spent a lot of my time doing was traversing time zones nonstop for 6 years. That was my life. So now, of course, international travel is not really a thing. This is the longest I've been on any single time zone or even in my own house, like ever. So I definitely have been keeping a lot more to myself in a lot of ways because the nature of the job kind of makes you more social. In a sense where it's like, oh, you're getting to know your colleagues, you have to be friendly with passengers, you have to do stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I've just been kind of like staying home, like reading books a lot. Like I've read so many books. I've caught up on TV shows that I've been behind on for the past 2 years. I took naps. Naps were great. Naps are excellent. I mean, I love a good nap. I've been eating good. So yeah, that 10 pounds y'all were talking about, I don't know how many it is over here, but I don't know. But a couple of things were happening, but I mean, I got these cookbooks. I've like been buying ingredients for recipes and all these things and just been really trying to perfect my taking care of myself in whatever way I can thing. Mm-hmm. So some days it's like, yeah, I'm going to masturbate all day until the shit falls off or breaks. And then other days it's like, you know what? I'm going to use my cookbook. I'm going to try recipes. I have a little bar set. So I make signature cocktails now too. I'll let you go. I'm a bartender, not qualified, but like a bartender. just little things like that, I just try to, I don't really see my friends obviously because, outside is crazy. Like, what am I doing out there? But I do have like a couple of Zoom happy hours going now. So I think I've made more intimate connection with the friendships I already have, relationships I already have. Mm-hmm. And then some have just kind of fallen to the wayside, which I think is the nature of Mercury and all the planets in retrograde at the same time. One, right. Being the great revealer. Venus is in retrograde. That's like a great revealer. Crazy shit's happening. But I think it just kind of helps you see who is really meant to be in your life at certain times. And I've been doing that as a part of self-care too. Just just reevaluating relationships and seeing what's there.
Right. And I think a huge testimony to relationships are how people respond in time of crisis. One of the things that I have witnessed within the Black and poly community is that there seems to be this more cohesiveness that is happening. It's kind of like we're wrapping ourselves around each other. Black Poly Pride has had an event, every weekend or something going on every weekend?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
And building that intimacy and what's going on there. And so how do you respond, or how have you seen your partners respond, Charita, in this time,
It's definitely been a lot of togetherness. So as I mentioned before, it would be 2 designated, date nights with one, 2 designated date nights with the other, and then I was their only local partner. And so then all of us would get together on every Friday. We'd spend time together. I had a relationship that started probably right before COVID really happened, but January, February. January. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. So let's go with January. That started, and I will say I moved quickly with her. And generally, I'm not a move quick kind of person. I'm not a have you at my house, have you around my children kind of person. But what we're gonna do? It was COVID, right? So now you do have to be around here. You are exposed to my children, so I think it allowed for a lot of intimacy, a lot of growth, a lot quicker that I'm used to. I definitely don't fall with the whole, what do you bring on the second date when you're dating a woman and it's a U-Haul, right? Because women move so fast. I definitely do not do that.
Ah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, you
Sorry,
went to the
I've
second
never
date for
heard
that?
that.
You
Y'all
haven't
never
heard
heard that?
That's a very lesbian thing.
I
I'm
should have
just
used that in
saying.
my dad joke competition. That was great.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a lesbian thing. I mean, I'm bisexual, but
Yeah.
whatever. So there was a lot of it just the trajectory of our relationship, I just think went a lot faster than I normally would have done. Something I'm always accused or chastised of is not being vulnerable in my relationships, especially up front. I think COVID allowed for a lot more vulnerability with both of my partners and discussions about what's going on and how I'm feeling, and the kids are doing this and now this is happening. I need to have this discussion. I'm working like 15 hours a day here and whatever. So there was a lot of assistance and a lot of them wanting to make sure I did self-care. My birthday was in May. Anyone knows me, I turns up for the whole month. The world was made a better place May 15th at 9:01 p.m. And I just want to bless everybody with my presence for the whole month. And so, but COVID was like, we don't care about your birthday. But my partners came together and they flew my best friend back down here because she just moved to California. They did like a wave so people can come by and just wave to me and just all these small little things. And then, I'm really into art. They brought me all this art stuff. And just, it was a weekend of just love and time. And so I just really appreciated that. Right. So I don't, if it hadn't been COVID, that wouldn't have happened because I would have planned my home birthday month. They wouldn't have had the opportunity. So just to see them take that space and do something wonderful was amazing. So, although COVID, overall is a horrible thing, there have been some great things that have come out of it for me, relationship wise, even, personally, when I talked about doing the art, as well as just friendships, right? Jhen kind of touched on that, just kind of seeing what relationships stay, what's meant to be here, what kind of, stands the test of time. So.
Okay. Justin.
So friendships, I'll start there, I guess. My friendships have been steady, but admittedly, I've experienced some sort of like gendered, like dynamic shifts, right? So like with most of my guy friends, the things we would primarily talk about, we talk about hip hop, of course. That's kind of a constant, but the rate at which people are even putting out new music and stuff like that is kind of changing. But we also talk about sports, and due to COVID, there really aren't any sports, although the NBA is set to resume, I believe, at the end of this month. And I have mixed feelings about that. There's one part of me, the fan, right, looking forward to the restart of the season, and hopefully, going to witness LeBron James bring another title to Los Angeles. But then the other part of me is, thinking about the ethics, right? Like, under what conditions might it be appropriate for the NBA to restart, and have those conditions been met? And especially with, players speaking out, not only in response to COVID, but also in response to the anti-Black racism in America, sort of not wanting to come back and play. It's sort of like contributed to this mixed bag. But I've been trying to check in on my homies as best I can. We don't have very rigid or set plans, scheduled plans, or anything like that. We kind of just catch each other when we catch each other. I talk to my brother pretty regularly, my pops pretty regularly and stuff like that. But so that's been cool, On the partnership side, I should say that, right now I have just two formal partners, and I have some tertiary relationships. And though I'm about to speak largely to my formal relationships, I do want to say, to my tertiary relata, that I love you all. And so I just, I don't have enough time to talk about every single relationship. And so don't blame me, blame the podcast. But no, I'm just playing. Don't blame the podcast. Thank you for the platform. We really appreciate it. But yeah. When it comes to like partnerships, for me, I'm in this interesting space, right? To where one of my relationships is about to turn a year old, or actually, I should say, just turned a year old by the time you guys probably hear this cast. June 30 is the date on that. And then the other of my relationships is fairly new, right? So it's, I think, turned 3 weeks yesterday. But by the time you guys hear this, will probably be past a month. So, fingers crossed. But yeah, so, the interesting thing is that, one of the relationships has kind of like well-established habits and practices and stuff already, like having, been together over a year and kind of spent that time to get to know each other and all this other stuff. That one's kind of like autopilot, not an autopilot in a bad sense where I don't hold myself accountable or we don't hold ourselves accountable for showing up, because we very much do. But there's just a lot more familiarity there, and we have a rhythm that's only been slightly disrupted by COVID. But the other relationship, like Charita said, some good things have come out of it, right? And so, this relationship hasn't moved very fast. I felt like the tempo has been pretty appropriate, and in a lot of ways, because we've had to rely on like Zoom and text and like phone conversations to do the legwork for establishing like our early rapport and our early vibe and everything like that. And so I'm a sapiosexual anyway, so there's something about that intellectual engagement, that intellectual stimulation that kind of gets me going anyway. But we've been able to sort of like plan like actual dates and like work dates and stuff like that, and it's really just fit, I think, into my life a lot better than it does like when there's a lot of other different things going on. So I'm pretty sure I could talk all day about my two lovely, wonderful, beautiful partners, and brilliant, but I will leave some bandwidth.
You're going to get laid. It's okay. Come on now.
I almost feel like I need to go back and like re-talk about mine. Like maybe I didn't set that.
Oh no! Don't even trip. Don't even trip. I just take care of mine. That's all, baby. I take care.
Wow. Okay.
All right now. And we're going to turn it over to Jhen to talk about boundaries. But before we get there, I just quickly want to share, about, for me as a person who is single and not single, I just live alone, as a person who lives alone, it's been a struggle, right? I've started dating online since COVID, and that's different. I'm someone who feeds off of energy. But I have found that I've had to really let some boundaries down. I had to shift some expectations and what relationships look like. I have to really, develop a new way of being vulnerable, intimate, allowing people in that is not based on all touch. It's not based on necessarily being in the same physical space. Is built on this virtual world, and it's really a huge learning curve for me personally. Also emotionally, it's a huge learning curve. But what I have found is that conversations have gotten deeper. Because there's so much that needs to be communicated in a way that person feels, Furthermore, I've had to really take a look at, do I want to live alone? So my relationship anarchy identity has been challenged in all of this. I have to take a look at how I'm doing polyamorous relationships. That's been challenged in all of this. I am really thirsty for my kink life. That's been challenged in all of this. So there's a whole lot of challenges that have come up as a result of COVID. So yeah, it's been a real shift for me because of how I'm redefining things in my life. So it's kind of like as a result of the pandemic and the uprising, it's like I'm in this enlightenment phase in my life. So Jen, it's all you, boo.
Oh,
All you.
I like that. You just like, yeah, it's all you. Just throwing you under. That's where it's at. But no, it's good that you brought the point about online dating because I mean, the people that I'm dating now, I met them through the Black Poly Pride online event. So it's all been online. No one lives anywhere near me. They're all in different states, different countries, even. So it's kind of like, great. How do you navigate this? Like, how do you maintain boundaries with people when you can't really have, I mean, like it's still, everything's still so new, right? So it's kind of like, do you have a conversation about boundaries? Do you not have a conversation about boundaries? How do we plan this? And then it's not just your direct relationships with them, it's them and their other partners, if they have any, or like any other people they have in their life. So like, how do we really navigate this mess of a time with all of our emotional selves in upheaval, so to speak? It's like, yes, we have great loving partnerships, or yes, we're starting dating people, but we are surrounded by the trauma of COVID and of the uprising. So how do we really set and maintain healthy boundaries if you're starting something? And especially if you already have something going, like how do you keep that? How do you keep those boundaries? Like, do you have to redefine them? And I have, because, you know, I'm very similar to Charita in that I'm very guarded usually. So I appear to be an open book, and that is by design. I am very great at what I do. So people believe that they know all these things about me and they could tell you definitively many things about me, but those are things you can find on my high five from when I was like 10, girl. Like there's really, it is required a bit of reworking for me to kind of figure out, great, how do I still protect myself the way that I'm used to, but also open myself up to these new experiences, so to speak, during this time. I don't know if you guys have had issues like I'm having problems. I don't know if you guys have problems navigating your boundaries in this time period. So I don't know. Someone tell me something. Tell me I'm not alone.
So you're definitely not. So one thing I probably have struggled with, period, is actually having boundaries. I have like 2 rules. Number 1, don't have me out here looking crazy. And number 2, don't let somebody else tell me something you should tell me. And then
I think rule number 1 is universal.
Don't have me out here looking crazy, bro.
Don't do it.
You go see crazy today.
Don't do it. But what's happened is then I let my partners kind of decide, well, what are the boundaries? How does our relationship look? Because I'm pretty fluid, right? But lately I've decided, no, I'm not okay with that. I actually started therapy so I can figure out what my boundaries are and make sure I maintain them. And so far for 2020, I've been doing pretty good. Everybody doesn't like it, but it is what it is, right? I'm going to have these boundaries. And if they don't work or we're not able to have a negotiation about this and make it to where the boundaries can still be in place, then maybe we're better off being friends or, not at all, whatever. But I struggle with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, in the context of my romantic relationships, my formal romantic relationships, I haven't really struggled with boundaries setting. Like I said, one of my relationships is a little bit older, so there's kind of like an established rhythm that we have policies and sort of like general practices, best practices that we already go by. And the other relationship is so young at this point to where we're sort of like trying to erect the boundaries as best we can. So we're still very much in this ongoing process of determining what that will look like for us going forward. But it's been pretty good. The difficulty that I've been having, however, is sort of like as like a meta, and how I might show up as a meta and thinking about the boundaries, within sort of like other relationships that are not necessarily my romantic relationships, but like nesting and how do you share space within a space for folks to be able to satisfy the needs of their relationships as best they can, but also satisfy the needs of the house, and that's kind of been a delicate balance, and it's something that I'm still like very much struggling with because I'm very much an individual that likes like my own peace, you know what I mean, and I'm just very like time and space to myself. So, Ruby, I definitely, feel you on sort of having to encounter thoughts about yourself around what the living situation will be like for you going forward. Like, oh, will I live alone? Will I not live alone? So on and so forth. Because, COVID kind of has hit me in like a different way, to where it's just like, I think that's for me. I think that lone life is like for me. You know what I'm saying? Because, sharing space it gets kind of rough. Like, and it sort of impacts my
Listen,
relationship.
Sharia, stop laughing.
It impacts my relationships in particular kinds of ways too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about masturbation earlier, and I'm just like, the bathroom is cool, but I like to change up my ambiance sometimes. You feel me? I like to,
sometimes you want to be in the living room, bro. I can't have a roommate.
You feel
me?
You
like, be in the living room.
Exactly, right? There's that, and I'm learning to navigate that space, but it's definitely been a challenge, and trying to respect relational autonomy and trying to, let everyone as best we can be their full selves and, do their whole full relating and all of that shit. So, the metaships and sort of like navigating the tertiary relationships have been like the trickiest thing for the boundaries for me. But my romantic relationships, we're pretty solid. And that's a kind of part of the vetting process, though, to me, right? Like, it's like, how much do we align? Like, I'm not going to formalize you if I feel like, we got this sort of deep incongruencies, like,
Right. Yes.
Yeah. No,
yes.
But that's why I think I say I'm dating, because I'm still getting to know people. Nothing's like set on it. Like, I'm single, but I'm not single. Like, we'll see what happens. Like, when I'm allowed to touch people again, we'll see what happens.
Right.
This never works for me. I try so hard to be like, let's just chill, right? Let's just kind of see what's going on. And then there'll be one conversation and one statement that's made. And then it's like, well, I thought we decided we were together last week. Where was I during that conversation?
Yes.
Where was I? Because I feel like I missed it. Was I asleep when you had this conversation with me? Like, did you forget to turn your mic on when you were telling me we were together? That's the thing. Everything's all online now.
Then I felt bad. I'm like, oh, no, you're right. That's why I'm in therapy.
You do need a therapist. That's why you in therapy.
I'm like, but I mean, to be fair, it is difficult sometimes. Like, because I think it's still nice to be asked to be in a relationship with someone. As much as I'm like against it for like many different reasons, I also think this is the best thing. Like, ask me how I feel, how I want to move forward, how we're going to progress in this time. Like that is how we do things.
I also feel like I am not held accountable to anything I said while we were having sex. So I just don't feel like...
Is anyone?
Oh, yes.
That means we're together.
Post-coital conversations are always up to discussion. Don't hold it all to be true. Post-coital, now on online dating is post, sex.
Yeah. What do we call it? Yeah. What is it? I forget. We used to call it something back in the day. Cybering. That's what we used to call it back in the day. Cybering. Yeah. Cybering.
Cybering. Yeah. So, we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit here. And so I have 2 more questions. Well, 2.5 more questions.
Half question.
The half question.
The question that I have is, how have you and your partners or friends been supporting each other, and how do you ask for help within your relationships? And so we're going to start with Justin first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so support one another and asking for help. So supporting one another, people who relate to me really understand that I'm big on explicit communication. I don't do the whole mind reading thing, the whole passive aggressive thing. It's really not, that's short lived. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can come with that smoke if you want to, but I'm not fucking with it, So, I create space, communicative space for people to be able to articulate what it is that they need from me, in order to support them. And so, like, there's been a lot of conversations like that happening. In one of the relationships, it's a little bit of space, because of like their immediate circumstances, which I understand. And then in the other relationship, it's just kind of like, consistency, remaining consistent with the things that we do have like planned to do and things like this. So, that there's that. I've also been supporting my partners through gift giving. People who know me know that, like, I'm not really a gift giver. I'm more like my presence is a presence. You know what I'm saying? So it's
So,
like, you know what I'm
and
saying?
you're so humble. You're so
Yeah,
humble.
I mean,
Happy
so
birthday, I'm here.
I'm not really exactly right. So I've actually been doing a bit more gift giving, which is very unnatural for me, but it has felt good. I've really appreciated their expressions of appreciation. Like that's been nice, right? Like so, running shoes on the one hand and then books on the other hand. I'm just like just trying to do my little piece. And then, yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's kind of how we support one another. They also check in with me and, yeah, send me recipes, making sure that I'm eating, making sure that I'm also like developing my culinary skills because, in a lot of cases I do the cooking for us, so they're like, oh, this look good. I want to try this. Like, well, try it, bro. Like, why are you telling me? But anyways, as it pertains to asking for help, yeah. So how do I ask for help? I typically just ask for help. Like I was saying a second ago, explicit communication is a big deal for me in my relata. So I will just ask. I've had writing deadlines during COVID where I've sort of asked for more space and understanding. If I'm not able to like do the things that I say that I'm going to do, which is another thing that is big to me, right? Like, but it's been like some minutia that I've been held accountable for. Like, I'll be on the phone and I'll be like, all right, look, I'm gonna call you back later. And then I'll call back maybe like 2 days later or whatever. And then, it was like, well, you didn't call me back when you said you were and blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, nah, I said later. I didn't say when later. But yeah, like, those things have been like more
Typical
like, well, actually, like that's new though. Like that's only when I'm like under like deadlines, but in general, like, they for real, they'll
I
bounce.
think Charita got her hand up, Justin. I think Charita got her hand up. She got a
did I,
question.
I just
did I
wanted to
forget to call you back?
no. I need some clarity because dating me is like a job. Like if I don't hear from you, that's like a no call, no show, and you fired. So I'm trying to understand. Like you
Yeah.
said, I'll call you later, and later can mean like over a span of days. I want to make sure my microphone and stuff is working. I can hear you
Well,
properly.
yeah. So there's a distinction for me between like I'm gonna call you back and I'm gonna call you later. So when I say I'm gonna call you back, people who relate to me know like, okay, it's coming within the next couple hours or something. You know what I'm saying? But if I say I'm gonna call you later, that might be tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It won't be like days like before you hear from me. You know what I'm saying? It won't be like 3. 3 is a bit excessive to me, but I do like that 48 hour, grace period. But that's what I'm saying. I asked for more understanding, right? Like, at the outset, I need help. I'm asking for help. That's what I'm saying.
I'm so happy you communicated that, and there was a discussion, and everyone is aware. I'm proud of you for that. Charita,
But
on the
actually,
other
though,
hand,
I was trying to chill with Charita, though, because, this whole like, oh, one chill, like, we got to set some time up, We got to set some time up.
but when you call me back, it's like 24 hours, though. You can't.
You definitely don't want to date me, Charita. We already had that conversation. I don't require daily communication.
You mess around and be unfriended on Facebook. We not.
Look, let me check my Facebook right now, actually.
All right. So, Jhen.
Me?
Yeah.
What'd I do?
Jhen, the question is
support and help.
Support and help.
Oh, I don't know what this asking for help thing y'all are talking about is. I don't know what that is. Like you're saying words does not compute. Those words don't register in my mind. Sorry about that.
Right. Hard time asking for help.
Sorry, did you say ask for help? Are you asking me for help? Just to clarify. Okay. But yeah, no, I do. It's almost impossible for me to ask for help. Sorry. It's a flaw. And I say it's a flaw because it's a flaw that I've seen in many women, but in Black women, of course, for sure, because that's where I grew up around. I was raised not like by a single mother, but like by a single mother. But I've also never seen her ask for help, like ever. No, she was married at one point in time, but like they broke up, they divorced and stuff. So like she's single again. See what I mean? Like yeah. But yeah, I've never seen her ask for help ever, not ever. And so it is not a part of my experience to ask for help. like if I'm asking you for help, it means that I'm probably dying. Like literally, like I'm on my last breath, and it's like, can you close the door, sort of thing. But no. And when it comes to supporting, just like support for people, I'm the supporting queen. I support you all day. Like that is my role in friendships, I believe, and in maybe not as much in romantic relationships, because I guess there's like mutual support. Probably because I'm only dating women right now. That's a thing. Like we don't really ask for help. We just kind of like intuitively support each other in different ways.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Dating men
especially
is
if you
weird
date,
though.
yeah, dating Black women. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're on top of it. We're kind of like, oh, you had an exam today. How did that go? Like, oh, I remember last week we talked about you going to the farmers market this week. Like,
How
you
did
end
that
up going. How
Yeah.
did that go? Like,
we are real good at that. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
on top of it
Absolutely.
for each other, but not like for ourselves personally.
Right.
Like we don't allow that kind of kindness for ourselves. We just kind of intuitively offer it to each other and to
Right.
other people, I guess, within the circle. But
Right.
like I said,
Yeah.
awkward.
Charita?
Wait a minute. I feel prejudged. Like,
It's not prejudged if we know we're right.
well, excuse me. I will start out by saying that I do a wonderful job showing up and helping other people. I think I thrive in that area. I love to support and help other people, whether it's, girlfriend had a hard day. Let me send you some cookies, or boyfriend wants some cupcakes, or let me swing by the house and do some laundry for you, or let me wash your hair. I can do all the things for you. It just so happens I have the ability to do all the things I need for myself, and I don't have to ask anybody for anything because I can just get it done on my own. And it's interesting, Jen, because my parents they've been married for 38 years. And I don't know if I've ever seen my mom ask for help, but it was just more so her and my father just moved together. They had a groove, right? It was never any kind of gender roles in the house. They just, worked together to do everything. My dad I was a daddy's girl. He did my hair, on my little pigtails and stuff. And so I am just used to just doing. I don't see people asking either. And so I can recognize when someone else needs some help, and I jump in there and do it. And I think I get that from my parents, just recognizing when someone needs something and just jumping in there and doing it. So if somebody doesn't recognize it for me, maybe my fault with that whole not being vulnerable thing, but whatever. If they don't recognize it, I'm just going to get it done. I don't have time to ask you to do it, and then I'm probably not going to trust that you're going to get it done the way I want you to get it done. So there's no need for me to set you up for failure. And so I'll just do it myself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, and asking for help, it's it's that thing where I don't want to be disappointed and I don't want to X your ass out. So I'm not going to ask you for shit, and so that's me. It's kind of like in my mind, I'm trying to help you out by not asking you for help. Let me help you. Now, does that make any sense? Probably not, but it's made sense in my world up until COVID, because I have had to ask for help, during this time. I have a seizure disorder. So, and I live by myself. So I have actually had to tap in to people and seek help and ask for support. And it's still hard, and I'm just still overwhelmed by people actually helping me. It's uncomfortable, it's really uncomfortable. But as watching my mom, as a Black woman, and she was ultra dependent on my dad paid all the bills. My dad, took care of the house, and so she got an allowance. And then when my dad left, she didn't know how to even balance a checkbook. And she taught me growing up, do not ever get your ass in this position again. Always know, bam, bam, bam. And so that's kind of carried over to my own detriment in many ways. So it's a new skill that I'm practicing, and so when I said that this has been a time of enlightenment for me at 47, it's kind of like I'm maturing in some ways. Things are falling off and things are being added on. So it's really cool. So last question. In 30 seconds or less, give the world 30 seconds of golden nuggets that they can carry after they leave this podcast. starting with Jhen.
Why you gotta do me like that? I don't. Jeez, I'm gonna use my whole 30 seconds being shocked and appalled at you for asking me first. I think I should cede my time to Justin.
Everybody
Justin.
wants to follow Justin. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Justin goes first.
I mean, y'all might not get no nuggets, but y'all gonna get a whole lot of sauce. But anyway,
Wow.
That was still a lame joke, Justin.
I love the dad jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It was a good joke, Justin.
thanks, Jen. I was trying to win you over. But anyways, like my 30 seconds, I mean, I don't got too much time. I just want, we talked a little bit about this current moment and sort of whether or not BLM is trendy, whether or not sort of activism and these uprisings are sort of like a trendy moment, right? And I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with the trends. We need to take advantage of the trends if they're going to be here. But the question for me is, what does the sustainability of the movement look like beyond this moment? Whether that's you being a media platform, whether that's sort of like more at a grassroots level, how can you become engaged in your local community, so on and so forth. I think that these are the conversations that we need to have going forward. And before I get out of here, I just want to give you all my socials, which are pretty consistent across all platforms. This is Dr. Justin Clardy, and it's at Your Fav Philosopher. That's URFAV FILOSOPHER. So I went fast. Y'all can rewind it or pause it or rewind it and pause it. I look forward to getting your follow.
Okay. All right. Jhen, you ready now?
No, it's Charita's turn now.
Charita.
I think what I'll say is during this time, there's a lot of information, a lot of Facebook posts, a lot of people get their information from social media. And I just want to make sure that we pay attention to what's being put out there and we make sure it's accurate. I don't want us jumping on bandwagons. Sometimes things are not accurate. I remember, specifically there was this post that came out maybe a week or two ago, and all of a sudden everyone was like, "Oh, let's boycott Wendy's, let's boycott Pizza Hut," like these food chains. But it was one individual who was a CEO of a company who happened to own a couple of franchises that did whatever action people were appalled by. So if that's the case and you want to boycott, then boycott those specific ones. But remember that those specific ones probably also employ Black people. So we got to think things through. We got to be consistent. We have to make sure that we are not just jumping on bandwagons and just following what someone else told us to do. We need to do our research. No, honestly, we need to do our research and make sure all of our movements are strategic and that they have a plan and, like Justin said, that they're sustainable. And if you want to find me, my name is Charita Marie. I'm Charita Marie on Facebook. I'm Marie Charita on Instagram and Charita Marie on Twitter. And it's CHARITA Marie MARIE. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready now. You can put me in, coach. I'm ready now.
Okay.
Now that I've heard all the other great responses, I want people to think about how they're showing up in their relationships with other people of color. So whether you are a less melanated person or not, how are you showing up in your relationships for Black people in this time? And how can you be an actual ally? Because we can all throw the word ally around. It means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but how are you actively showing up, supporting Black people, stomping down on racism? Because we can't just kick it. We got to stomp on it. What kind of person are you in this time? And if you are not where you want to be, like Charita said, look for accurate information. If it means phoning a friend, you got to phone a friend, but an actual friend. That's also really important. Don't go phone in the random Black person you met 6 years ago and you still have their number in your phone book. That's not how that works. It is not the random Black person's responsibility to educate you. I am sorry. This is what I feel like. If you have actual friends who are Black people and they're willing to have these conversations with you, have it with them. But don't expect it from them because these things are traumatizing for us. We can't always be that person giving you the validation you need going forward. So yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. My favorite thing, I think one of my favorite things that was said, and everything was fantastic. And I want to thank the panelists. Y'all were fantastic and I couldn't have asked for anything more. And I think our community is going to be so appreciative, is that joy is an act of resistance. Mm-hmm. And so that's my nugget that I want to reiterate and give to you that Justin said earlier. Also, education is the key, was what Charita said, and Jhen, allyship and the importance of allyship. So You can find me at Black Sex Geek on Instagram and Twitter, or you can find me at Polydallas, POLYDALLAS on Instagram, also on Twitter, and on Facebook, the exact same handles. So Polydallas Millennium, we're going to be online this year for 2020, November 6th through the 8th. And so I look forward to seeing you. So that's it. Thank y'all.
All right. I forgot to say where you could find me. Duh. See, I'm so bad at this, guys. I don't know why you had me here.
Well, just
I'm
say
Jhen.
it.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at monogamishpod, MONOGAMISHPOD. That's really where you'll find me the most. Sorry. You can also listen to the podcast. We're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to chime back in here for just a second. Thank you so much for all of you, Ruby, for putting together this amazing panel, for having this discussion. We couldn't be more appreciative.
Yeah, a couple of quick things for anybody who is feverishly rewinding, pausing, or doing both. We'll have links to everybody's everything in the show notes for this episode. So you will be able to find those easily on our website. And I wanted to just really quick build on, I know we're questions are over, but the formal questions, but I wanted to build on the joy question and ask what the dad joke was that came in runner up, because I think we're all dying to know.
Yeah, Justin. What? Tell him your dad jokes. You have to know.
Okay. So the first one was, I used to think that flat earth theorists were afraid of the truth, but I later found out that they were only afraid of sphere itself. Like,
oh my God.
Right?
That's not the one I chose him for, just so you guys know. That's not the one I chose him for.
Hold on, here we go. So 2019 and 2020 got into a fight. What do you think happened? Well, 2021.
That was the one I chose. That was the one I chose because that was worth it.
I like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then the last one was, my partners always say that I have two problems. The first is that I don't listen, and
listen, you had some really, really funny jokes, but I gotta listen. Like,
those were horrible.
Listen, I love a good dad joke. Ruby, it's not my fault that you don't find him funny. Okay, I love corny.
I'm corny.
I like corny, so I'm in. I'm down.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. Okay. All
awesome.
Right.
Well, thank you, Justin, for obliging, and honestly to everybody for everything. We're honored that you all came on and had the discussion, and we're happy to make space for it. So thank you, and
good.
We will bid you all a wonderful evening.
And we're back. Thank you to Ruby, as well as Jhen, Charita, and Dr. Justin Clardy. We could not be more thankful for having all of you on the show and being able to share our platform.
Yeah, again, as Emma said, I just wanted to reiterate thank you as well. And you all are always welcome back on the show anytime you want. And in fact, one of you's already taken us up on it. So we've recorded an episode with Jhen that'll be coming up in a few weeks, and we're really excited about that. So yeah, stay tuned.
Up next is our regular programming on Wednesday. We have an interview with Kate and Chris.
Yep.
In 2 days.
2 days from now. So we will see you then. In the meantime, feel free, head over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and you'll be able to find links to everything that all of the guests talked about, plus how to find them and all of the great things that they're putting out in the world.
Yes. So go check that out, and thank you so much for listening.